let's start sharing the screen and let's go to the Python. Now, just in order to start our recap, let's remember that we covered the first topic that was what is a list. So as per the first line says, a list is a kind of container used to store multiple items or elements. Then we covered the list structure and we said that a list is composed by the list name, then the equal sign, then opening and closing brackets. And then we start to store the elements that we want to store or contain in our list. Now, as per you can see here, we have explained as well that the elements are ordered in ascending way by starting with 1. So we have element 1, element 2, element 3. And so we can contain a number of elements in our list. The next topic that we cover and we explained was related to the index. And we said that an index is a position that every element or item take in our list. That's me. The element 1 has one correspondence with the index 0. Then we have the element 2 that could have the reference with the index 1. Then for the element 3, we could have a reference with index 2. Now, also we have explained that there is 2 ways to start counting the index in our list. For example, we can start counting from left side to the right side. That means from the first element to the last element. And when we start this kind of counting, we start with the index 0, and then we continue index 1, index 2, and so on in ascending way. But when we start counting from the last element in our list to the first element, that means when we start counting with minus or negative index, the first will be -1, index -2, and index -3. Now, we have explained that when we start counting with a negative way or in this kind of index, -1, -2, and so on, it's because this is a kind of faster way to access to the last element in our index when we have a lot of elements in our list, and it's easier to start from the last element that start counting from 1, 2, 3, 4, 40, 30. I mean, just to understand and confirm what will be the number that correspond at our element to the final element. And then in the video 1, we have said that we can create a list with this structure by using a color example, but let's try just to remember the explanation with other reference. For example, let's consider that we want to create a list name as employees because I want to content all the employee names from the company. So let's say that we have to Mike, then we have Peter, and then we have Mary, right? So Mike will be the element 1, Peter will be the element 2, and Mary will be the element 3. Now, for this list, the first action that we understood on the video 1 was how to retrieve all the content list. That means all the elements content in the list by using our commands. So for this, we have the print command, and this is pretty easy. We have just to type the print word, and then to use the brackets, and then to include the list name that we want to access or call. So then the next topic covered was about how to access the one specific element from the list. Let's see that we already know what are the elements included in the list, but we want to access to just to one in specific. Let's see that we want to access just to the first element from the list, Mike. And if we start counting from left to right side, that will be 0, 1, 2. That means that Mike has as a reference the index 0. So that's why we use this print employees, because it's the list name, and then we use the square brackets, and we include the index 0 because it's the one that corresponds to Mike. So that when we run this code, what we will see displayed here will be the Mike name. Now, the second topic was about how to access to the same element, but using another index. That's mean, for example, let's see that we want to start counting from right to side to access to Mike. Well, in that case, we have to start counting with -1, -2, -3. And that's why -3 will be the index that could be pointing to the mic name, which is the first element, and it was the same as per we saw a moment ago. It will be the same as the index 0 that point to my name, which is the first element when we start counting from left to right. Now, the next topic, I think that the last topic mentioned on the video one was the one related to the how to generate the index error. And we generate an index error called list out of the range. Here we have to explain that if we call any element that doesn't exist in our list by using our index, is when we generate that kind of error. That's mean because, for example, we have 1, 2, 3 elements, right? But what happens if we try to call or access at a fourth element? Well, that is not possible because we don't have fourth element, and that's when we generate that kind of this out of range index error. So for example, in order to generate that error, we could try to use the print sentence, include the employees because it's the list name, then try to use the 3 index, which will be 0, 1, 2, 3. We don't have any 3 here on this list. So when we run this is when we generate this kind of error. Now, once that we have covered all this recap related to the video one, let's start with some new topics. Just let's comment what we have just review in order to avoid any conflict with the next lines that we are going to execute. So just let me verify that everything has been commented. Yeah. So let's see, let's start with the same example that we were reviewing, the employees list. Remember that we have an employee list, which contain 3 elements, which are Mike, Peter, and Mary names, right? Now, let's see that we want to replace elements. For example, it's supposed that instead Peter, I will be working with a new employee named as John. So I need to replace Peter and not John here. So for that, I just need to use my list name. Then I have to, sorry, I have to type square brackets, then to mention, okay, what elements I want to access. Well, in this case will be Peter, counting from left to right will be 0, 1, 1 index, right? Then we have to assign the equal, we have to assign, sorry, we have to use the equal sign, and then we need to include the new element that we want to, one second, that we want to add. In this case will be John, because John will be the employee that we will be replacing by Peter, right? So now let's just print the list in order to see if changes has been implemented. So as per you could see here, we have initially, and why not, let's print first the initial list. One second, and then let's compare. As per you could see here, we have initially Mike, Peter, Mary, right? But after we replace the index 1, which was the 0, 1, the second element, which is the Peter name, which is the second position. In that case, we're replaced by John. Well, after that, once more that we print our list, well, we will see reflect the difference that we have. We keep Mike, but we change Peter by John, right? We keep Mary. So let's see with the next example that we want to add a new element. For example, in this case, we have, remember, we have Mike, John, Mary, but I want to, in this case, to add a new employee. And that employee, just 1 second, needs to be added by you, first of all, making reference at our list name, then to use the append word. And then after the append word, we need to include the name from the new employee that we want to add in our list. In this case, why not to include to Marco. Now let's print once more the list employees, and let's see what is the result. As you can see here, we have add properly to Marco because we have Mike, John, Mary, but now we have Marco, right? Now let's continue. What happened if, for example, we want to delete one employee? Let's see that we want to delete, in this case, let's see that, consider that after change Peter by John, we discovered that John was not the right employee, or the employee that we were looking for according to the profile or the job description. So let's see that we want to remove it from the list because he won't work more with us. So let's see that we want to delete. For that, we need to, first of all, remember, point at our list. Then we need to use the square brackets to point the position where is John. So will be 0, 1. John is in the 1 position or index. Then we have to use the equal sign, and then to use this empty list. And now here there is something a little tricky. We could do this of that way, but let's see what happened when we use just directly the index. Print employees when we directly use the index and we run it, we'll see that there is an empty list, right? So in order to avoid to keep or to leave this empty place, there is other way to remove it. For example, let's just comment this one that we have just done, and let's use employee, then square brackets, but instead to use directly the direct index 1, the 0, 1. Let's just to make a reference by range, index range. In this case will be, I want to start 1, 2. Right. What this instruction is saying or telling is that I want to make a reference. 1 second. For the employee or for the element that start on the position 1, 0, 1, John is in the 1, and up to 2, but not include 2. That means it's the same. We keep just in the 1, right? Now let's print of that way. And as per you can see here, we avoid to leave that empty list, and we just remove John, and we keep Mike, we keep Mary, and we keep Marco. Now, let's see. We want to access to multiple elements by using index. So as per we saw in the above instruction, let's see that currently we have Mike, Mary, and Marco, and we want to access to one print. But for example, I just want to print, for example, Mike and Mary, but not Marco, right? Or I want to access to Mike and Mary information, but not to Marco. In that case, we use the employees because it's the list name, and then we opened brackets, and then square brackets, and then we use the range. We want to include Mike, right? Because it's the first element. Well, in that case, sorry, will be the 0 index, which is the first element. 0, 1, 2. So I want to consider the 0 print, the 1 until the 3rd, but not the 3rd. So what I will do is just point 0, 1, 2. So if we do this, we're saying I want all the employees starting from 0, which is this 0, and up to 2, but not include 2. That's mean 0, 1 until here, but not include this. So I'm going to consider just Mike and Mary. So let's print it and see what's going there. One second, print. And then let's consider this. Let's see what's going there. See, we have Mike, Mary, but not Marco. We started counting 0, 1 up to 2, but not to 0, 1. This is a really nice way to access the multiple elements when we are working with a list. So I really, really recommend this. Now let's continue replacing elements by a list. So let's see that we want to, we currently have Mike, Mary, but we want to replace Mary. Let's replace Mary by a list. So in that case, if I want to replace Mary, I could say that I have employees, and then we have the, one second, the square brackets, and then let's see that Mary is in the 0 in the 1 index. And then let's see that we want to, one second, create a sublist. Then we want to replace Mary by a list. So that list will contain, for example, this word, new employee. Now let's see that we want to confirm that that replacement was properly applied. So let's print the current content for employees. Now let's run it. See, we had Mike, Mary. Mary was in the 0 in the 1 position or index, but we applied this instruction employee 1, which is Mary, replaced by this list, new employee, right? So now, after this, let's see that we want to access to that sublist, but we want to access, for example, just to the new element for that new, for that sublist. We have Mike, we have this list, which it contains new employee, two strings, and then Marco, right? But now let's say that we want to access just to new. I don't want to access to the whole list. So for that, there is one way which we could use by typing the list name, which is employee. And then we use the, one second, the square brackets. Then we include, or we point at what element from the list we want to make reference. In this case, remember, 0, 1 is all this, and this is a 3, right? So 0, 1 index, in this case, is the 1. And then let's type another square bracket. And then from that, what is the new position? Well, 0, 1. New is 0, and this is 1, because all this is just contained in one sublist. So 0 is the element that I want to access. So let's just one second. Let's just print that just to confirm that everything is working as expected. And let's see what's going here. See, here we have new. We have access to one element from one sublist, which is content in our list. So I think that this is it for the second video. I really hope that all this information and recap could be useful for you. and see you on next videos.